Hi, and thank you so much for purchasing 4th Street Creative Template. This is the video walkthrough for the postcard, the Urban. When you purchase this template, you're going to be directed to a page that looks like this, and you just hit Use Template, and that's going to open it up in your own Canva account. It's going to look like this, and the first thing that you're going to want to do is head over to File and make a copy. And the reason why you want to do that is because you might take a few left turns when you're designing, and you might just want to start from scratch with the master file. This will allow you to do that. So by having the master file always available in your Canva account is a great idea, and I would highly recommend that you do this. First step. The second thing that you're going to want to do is upload your listing photos, and you do that by heading over to Uploads and upload an image or video. Once they're uploaded, you're going to want to take one of your photos and move it over the image box, and as you can see, it'll just pop directly into place. If it doesn't pop into place, there's a high likelihood that this image has been locked, and there's a reason for that, which I'll talk about shortly. But if it doesn't pop into place, just head down here, take a look at the image box and see if the lock is on, and if it is, just unlock it, grab the photo that you'd like to use, hover it over, and it'll snap into place. Let me choose one that is dark. There we go. I'll show you why in a second. Once this image is popped into place, I'm going to double click it and move it around to make sure that I like the positioning of it. Once I'm happy with that, I'm going to click out and I'm going to click lock. If I don't lock it, what happens is the overlays that we've provided for you with the design are image files as well, which means there's an image over an image. And if the photo behind is not locked, this is what happens when I try to move the image on top. It kind of bumps out the one behind it. So in order to prevent that, I like to lock the image, and that way you can move this around everywhere and nothing's going to happen. Okay, now with this image, as you can see, the black doesn't really work. So I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to choose one of the overlays that was provided with your design. And move it into place. Okay, and that looks much better. Now I just need to move this over a bit. I'm going to change, obviously, the listing name, and I'm going to do that by highlighting the text and going over to the font box and choosing a font that works for me. Or if you have a brand font, I would suggest that you use that brand font. We have made sure that the fonts are complementary, which means that this font and this font look really good together. So you don't have to change anything if you don't have brand fonts that you'd like to use. Also, any of the boxes that you see here, this is a box, you can change the color of that as well. And one really cool thing about Canva is that it grabs colors from the images. So if you don't have brand colors, what you can do is actually highlight elements of the image itself, which brings it to life. So I would choose something like that, which complements these dark gray tones, and then you just change the font color to complement the box that it's in. These icons are grouped, and they're grouped for your convenience so you can move them around wherever they work. So because they're white, you can move them to a darker area of the image. I've just put these are underneath this box, which is why I can no longer grab them. If you find that that's happened, what you're going to do is go over to position and move that to the back. Nope, to the front, and move backwards until you're happy with the positioning. I've just been looking over to this area here, and it was over this box. I want it behind, so I'm just going to keep clicking backwards until it's behind. Now, that should have revealed this, yep. So now my grouped icons are accessible, and I'm just going to leave them right there because they look great. In order to change the bedroom's, bath, and garage number, you just double click on the box, highlight it, and then you can change it to 5, whatever number you need. Okay, and that's it for this side. Okay, as for this back design, what I would suggest is you start off by uploading your realtor photo. Make sure it's a high-res photo, and then just, again, popping it in there. if the box is a little bit, you can move it around to make sure that your photo looks great in that box. So here's the tagline, and you can change it to whatever you'd like. You can make it the URL for the listing property. You can make it your own website. You can do whatever you'd like for the tagline. This box underneath, what I've done is I've just moved the text that's over the box out of the way, and I'm going to change this to show you that we can change the colors to whatever color works for you. And again, I'm going to highlight the text in the text box and change that to white so that you can add a little bit of your own style to this design. Change your name here, change the URL here, and if you need to widen the box because your URL is larger than this one, you can just grab the side of the box once it's highlighted and stretch it out. Now here's another trick. I've created a lot of spacing in this particular URL, but you might have a really long one and it might not lend itself to this kind of spacing. So if you highlight the text and go over to the spacing button at the top, you can actually reduce the spacing of the lettering to match your needs. So that's a pretty cool feature. Over here is where you put your logo. Again, you can stretch it if you need more space, like a Royal LePage logo might need more space than that. And here is the info. Whatever info you need to put, you can put here. And another little trick, just so that you don't have a lot of lines of text that can be extremely distracting, you can put your cell phone number right here. And then you highlight the C, head over here to bold it so that there's consistency in the design. There we go. So I'm happy with this, and I am going to hit publish, download. And here, you're going to want to make sure that this is PDF print, because you're going to want to print it. If you're sending this to a printer, you want the printer to have the crop marks and bleed, so you're going to want to check mark that. If you're not, if you're using this for, let's say, social media, then you're going to want to save it as a PNG file. This is a great way to multi-purpose these. I always provide my clients with image files as well as PDFs so that they can multi-purpose and use these as part of their social media campaign. So if you want this to be on social media, for example, on Facebook, you could just save that as a PNG file. But for this, we definitely want to print this professionally with a printer, so I'm going to hit crop marks and bleed and then hit download. Once that's downloaded, it's going to be in a zip folder on your computer. You need to unzip the file and then send it to your printer. Some printers are okay with you sending them zip files, so if that's easier for you, then by all means send them that. But once it's saved, make sure you open the document and everything looks the way you want it to look, and then send it to your printer. And that's it. If you have any questions or need any more help, please feel free to head over to 4thstreetcreative.com/tutorials, and we have a wide resource library there for you. Thank you so much. Happy designing.